The national teacher calls 3 times. The koan, the national teacher, called to his attendant 3 times, and the attendant answered 3 times. The national teacher said, "I thought I had transgressed against you, but you too had transgressed against me." Master Mumon's commentary, the national teacher called 3 times, and his tongue dropped to the ground. The attendant answered 3 times, and softening his light, he gave it out. The national teacher, as he got old and was feeling lonely, pushed the cow's head down to the grass to feed her. The attendant would not simply accept it. Even delicious food cannot attract a full stomach. Now tell me, how did they transgress? When the nation is at peace, men of talent are respected. When the family is well off, the children maintain their status. National teacher only was a title that referred to this one particular national teacher, Master Nanyu Echū, national teacher, called Echū Kokushi in Japanese. He was the transmitted to disciple of the 6th patriarch, and he is also mentioned in the 6th patriarch's platform sutra. He was in training for 40 years, both awakening and ripening that, and it was in a mountain called Mount Hakugai, where he lived and ripened. But that gave him the long-lasting resonance, having done that for 40 years in the mountain. Of course, he saw people in those 40 years, yet he did not use that time to have a dojo. He taught people there in the mountain. The emperor of that time, Emperor Genso, was toppled by a coup d'etat because in his later years he grew weary of politics and did not express a high-quality power, and in that the coup d'etat came. When the coup d'etat came, he had to run from the capital. His son, Emperor Shukuso, became the Song dynasty emperor at that time, following his father. And since the son did not want to repeat his father's mistake of a weak character, he polished and trained with the Zen master Echū Kokushi. He trained with him in the mountain, Hakugai, and then he also himself taught. His son, the emperor's son, was Emperor DaiChi, who also taught in the capital, where he reigned for an unusual long time of 16 years. He also was a disciple of Echū Kokushi, who came at that time into the capital to teach him during those 16 years while he reigned. But toward the end of that, Echū Kokushi felt that his final days were near. And when Emperor DaiChi went to see him, his teacher, for the last time, Echū Kokushi said to him, the Emperor DaiChi said to his teacher, "In 100 years from now, if there is something that I can do for you, please tell me now." His Zen master answered, "Since you ask, how about a tomb?" Emperor DaiChi said, "That is no problem. What kind of tomb?" Echū Kokushi was silent for quite a while, and then, after that silence, he asked the Emperor DaiChi if he knew what he meant. Emperor DaiChi said, "How can I know what you meant? You were silent. I don't know what you meant." "Well, if you don't know what I mean, then you must seek out my disciple Tangen. Find him, and he will know well just what kind of tomb I want." The emperor showed him out and said goodbye to him, and in a few days Echū Kokushi died. As promised, the disciple Tangen was then called and asked what kind of tomb should be built for this request of their teacher. And at that time, Tangen brought in a poem. The poem read in a way that implied that it should be a tomb that would go all the way from the north all the way to the south, from the North Pole to the South Pole, meaning a tomb that would extend throughout the whole universe. And then, with this tomb that was extending throughout the whole universe, under a shadowless tree, where the sun is at its zenith, everyone would board a boat, people of all forms, men, women, big and little, all characters. Under the sun there would be an equalizing cloud under which everyone would become equal. And there is no going on this boat to some kind of a prepared paradise or a heaven. It is a boat for liberating all people. The whole universe is the tomb, he told him. Emperor DaiChi had asked him, and this was the way that he was answered by the disciple Tangen. This can also be found in the Blue Cliff records in case 18. Probably at this time there were 5 attendants for this national teacher. There was the attendant who would bring the incense and then light the incense attendant. There was the attendant who would answer, open, and respond according to the teacher's wishes to all of the letters and things that came to him. This was the secretarial attendant. Then there was the attendant who took care of all the guests, the people who would come to meet and talk to him. That was the guest attendant. There was an attendant who would take care of his clothing and all of his robes and all of his food. And that was called the clothing attendant. And then there was another attendant, the 5th, who would take care of his health and things where he needed when he was sick, such as treatment, and that was called the medical attendant. There were always 5 attendants for a great master. It doesn't say which it was, but at that time, the monk Tangen was one of those attendants. He was, as a monk in that period of his life, also called Oshin. He was one of those attendants and was one day called on by his teacher, Oshin. The attendant answered yes, but he did not come. This happened 3 times. He called him and he didn't come. He was useless as an attendant, which showed up immediately. He's not an acceptable attendant, but the question is, here, why not? The national teacher then said, I thought I had transgressed against you, but you too had transgressed against me. I have many guests and meet many people, so I don't teach you so well all the time. I can't give myself that completely, so I feel that I don't do the best by you because of this, so that you can awaken even one day sooner. But in fact, this behavior is even more inappropriate that you're showing, not coming to me to learn and to help when I call. This is even more unacceptable. So why did Oshin only answer and not stand up and come when his teacher called? It was because he was in deep samadhi and meditating. This is not your usual servant, and theirs is not the usual world of servants and masters. He was a teacher's servant, working hard on his state of mind. Any person of training knows this state of mind well. He had forgotten his body, forgotten his surroundings. He could hear the voice calling him, but he had no concern for what he was being called for. To be in the Zendo, we enter this state of mind, or we never deepen. We have to go through this necessary stage of the path. As it says in the first case of the Mumonkan, in the commentary by Master Mumonkan, it tells us clearly that we have to pass through this if we want to realize that place which has the same seeing eyes and hearing ears as those ancients. For this we must apply every single one of our 360 smallest bones, every single one of our 84,000 hair pores, and giving to that all day long in every single moment from morning until night, night until morning. We have to drop away, let drop away all of our ideas, our extraneous thinking, our attachments, our conditioning, all of it. We do this all the time. We continue doing this until we feel as if we have a red-hot burning ball inside of our mouth which we can't spit out, nor can we swallow it down. Yet we continue until we reach this place where we don't even know what is outside, what is inside. And we continue until we reach this place, we are as if we are a person who can't speak, a mute person. We feel as if we've had a dream that we can't tell anyone. Mumon Ekai comments in this way: for what are we doing zazen? It is not for a shallow mental understanding of something, or to think about our schedule, about the people we know. These are all things that are like chasing shadows. Because it is hard to realize and sustain this state of mind, we cut and cut and cut and let go and let go and let go. This is the point of the koan. It is a tool for doing this. This awareness, cutting the awareness. We see without knowing that we are seeing. We hear without knowing we are hearing. We smell without knowing there is someone smelling. In each mind moment, we open to this place of no thing to be carrying around. We have nothing that we have to respond to. This awareness, nothing to acknowledge. We return to that place of being simply just awareness. We return to being simply just who we are. Oshin heard the voice, but he had no perking awareness to respond to that. He was not hanging on to judgments and concepts. They were gone. His judgments were all gone. In all the 24 hours of the day, he had been working on letting go of this completely and totally. Master Mumon teaches it just like this. This is the place of things touching our awareness. But those things that touch, we are completely not acknowledging them or connecting to them. We become that state of mind in every instant, and that is how we are able to become the whole universe in each instant. But we cannot do that without greatest determination and motivation. To be able to be as if we have a red-hot ball in our red-hot burning iron ball in our mouth. We can't spit it out. We can't swallow it down. This makes us have to be in a state of mind where we can have no gaps. No gaps whatsoever, or this is not possible. Our own awareness is there, but we become pitch black. And while we were in this mind, which is like a huge big sky, we don't know anything at all at this moment. And there is a concentrated moment where it then becomes totally bright and transparent. We then enter that state of mind where we are totally clear and transparent, where there is nothing that is without that surging full tautness, and we can feel that. Master Daito Kokushi said, even wrote the poem of how this part of training, which we're talking about right now, was so confusing because he felt that he had been in a deep cave where he had been stuck, and it was the breaking through where he was able to realize this place where that cave was only a cave that he had dreaming of. Then he kept going. We have to keep going to not sit down on some kind of dark emptiness that we think we have realized. Echū Kokushi, he called out to his disciple, but he did not answer. I thought I had transgressed against you, but you too had transgressed against me. This is how he corrected him. This is something which has to be done because he can't get stuck sitting down on that samadhi. He can't end with that. That can't be the final point of what his practice is about. And since he was a national teacher, he did not hit him because he had good manners. But he did tell him very clearly that he couldn't stay stagnant like that. In this world, there are so many things to be thankful for and attracted to. But we have to realize our true nature. We have to realize our true nature. We have to realize that, or we stay like a chicken in a half-open shell, mostly suffocating. We experience this in the way it has been spoken by the ancients, the Mu, the Buddha nature, that place where it is nothing holy, only emptiness. From the origin, not one single thing. Gate, barrier, the Buddha becoming that morning star and exclaiming it. That's it, truly that state of mind. And this is the way we come to liberate all beings. But it has to be a place which is realized where there is no ego left, or we stay stuck on gain and loss, benefit and profit. To not be caught on our ego. To pierce through that, we have to realize that state of mind of being one with the heavens and earth. In Zen, we realize this state of mind and are at one with all beings in the same state of mind. There is nothing that is lacking in that, and there is no one who is left out of that. We all are endowed with this state of mind from the origin, and to realize that mind and protect it and live from it is what we have to do. But for that, we have to pierce through beyond every single thing else, and this is called the great death, where the deepest root is cut through completely. And when this is truly happened, we are reborn. And that is what this teacher is teaching here. Oshin is later called to him, and he is thanking his teacher for the efforts his teacher gave to his experiencing that state of mind. That state of mind which is where we are no longer stagnant, being stuck and sleeping and sitting down on something which is quiet and passive, but instead climbing the 100-foot pole from the top of which we take one step forward. And it is that which is so important. The national teacher called 3 times, Mumonkan comments, and his tongue dropped to the ground. The attendant answered 3 times, and softening his light, he gave it out. The national teacher, as he got old and was feeling lonely, pushed the cow's head down to the grass to feed her. The attendant would not simply accept it. Even delicious food cannot attract a full stomach. The comment of Master Mumon is about how Echū's kindness was just too great. Rinzai would have hit and trounced him. Still, as it was, when a monk asked Rinzai what is the ultimate point of the Dharma, he hit him. Even in his deepest state of mind, we have this place where, in the Blue Cliff Records number 7, there is a question answered by Master Hogan. When a monk is asking, what is Buddha? Master Hogan answers, you are Echū. And he gave him this answer. And this was also to do with this monk's way of being caught on samadhi. When the monk asked Master Rinzai, what is Buddha? Rinzai, small and fast, jumped down from the high seat, pushed him over until the monk was nearly unconscious. The kind monk in the same assembly said to him, the nearly unconscious monk, quickly, get up, you have to prostrate. The monk somehow did get up. He prostrated, and at that moment was deeply awakened. The monk's vocal response, in this case we're doing today, was of greatest importance. Because when the monk said yes, that was pure Buddha nature, unencumbered, no concept, no idea, no judgment. And this is what Zen is, free of any ego. But we have to sit to where we know this state of mind, where we forget everything, forget ourselves completely. Echū Kokushi, who lived until he was 130 years old, was certainly trying as hard as he could to get this monk deeply awakened. Oshin was, after all, his one and only transmitted to disciple. The attendant answered 3 times. Softening his light, he gave it out. The national teacher, as he got old and was feeling lonely, pushed the cow's head down to the grass to feed her. Of course, we know that you can't make a cow eat. Mumo comments on this sharply, but this cow was still stuck on his samadhi state. The attendant would not simply accept it. Even delicious food cannot attract a full stomach. Oshin was full of the delicious state of mind of samadhi. He had no interest in anything else, but he had not truly come to the end of his purpose, and so he mustn't sit down there yet. Now tell me, how did they transgress? When the nation is at peace, men of talent are respected. When the family is well off, the children maintain their status. We have these words from ancient times, and if the nation is at peace, in fact, using this poem, Master Mumonkan goes on with his commentary, low-quality people take over politics, and so the country goes downhill. These are the words of the great poet Tahoma, and this is what is being said here, and the way that Master Mumonkan is commenting and criticizing sharply. Finally, as usual, Master Mumonkan gives a poem. An iron collar with no hole. He has to wear it. It's no easy matter. The trouble passes on to his descendants. If you want to support the gate and sustain the house, you must climb a mountain of swords with bare feet. Even today, we have people who just sit where we lose ourselves completely. We can't let that be an attached to state where it becomes like a heavy iron collar. Limiting ourselves to that state of mind of no self and no others is not the point. To get caught on that kind of state of mind, when people are suffering everywhere, when we so much need that strength from within this brings, but we have to go beyond that for all beings. Yet some teachers still teach that as the way. It's not an easy matter. The trouble passes on to the descendants. If you want to support the gate and sustain the house, you must climb a mountain of swords with bare feet. But that ego holds down that surging strength from within, and so we have to let go of that ego, with life on the line, with efforts that continue from morning until night, night until morning, until we are so stuck in the moving through this, we are chased after and hitting a wall, and then suddenly we pierce through that. And only when we are able to realize this will the country and the Buddha Dharma be able to continue. In this way, Mumonkan is warning the descendants.